I'm happy to be here with you guys. So, what I'm going to share with you today is a way to really fast track your visibility online and the connections that you are trying to create relationships online without just depending on your content. Okay. So this is one of the things that does take a little bit of practice, because I feel like when people get into a space where they're like, I want to reach out to this person, but I'm just not sure how to reach out to them, you feel a little awkward, right? And intimidated. So I want to help alleviate that. And I'm going to share with you some ways, some wording, some messaging that's going to make that really, really easy for you. Okay. And we're going to dive right in. What we're going to dive into is mastering DM conversations to convert warm leads, like people that are engaging with you, people that are actually like raising their virtual hands, and how to do this without spamming. We don't want to spam. We don't want to seem creepy. Okay. We want to just create relationships. We want to connect. We want to be, guess what? Real humans on social media. And so I want you to first think of social media as a giant party that you were just invited to, right? At this party, people are talking to each other, they're mingling, just like on social media, people are posting, they're liking, they're scrolling. Now, imagine that you are at this party, but instead you're actually walking up to people and you're having real conversations, right? You're standing in the middle of the room, but maybe you feel like you're yelling into this huge crowd in the party and you're like hoping that somebody is actually going to come over and talk to you. That's essentially what a lot of us are doing when we are posting content on social media. We just expect people to respond and to make a purchase right away, or to click on something right away, or to, make a comment right away. And what I want you to understand is that the party, right? At this party, everyone is yelling their message. On social media, everyone is yelling their message. Everyone is trying to get attention. It's saturated. So the real connections happen when you step out of the crowd and you approach someone directly and you engage with them, having a one-on-one conversation. That's where the magic happens on social media. It's that personal connection that gets people to say, yes, I want to hear more from you. Or yes, I want to work with you. Or, oh my gosh, yes, Gina, tell me, where do I sign up? How do I get started? Okay. That's where things happen. So I know for a lot of you, the idea of actually sending somebody a personal message, a DM, whatever platform it's on, it feels a little awkward. But I want you to know that like that message, if you word it right, and if you actually do it from the heart and, doing it from a place of actually trying to just be human, the approach is so different and people can actually feel that. Okay. So we're not talking about, although you can use scripts, and I do provide a lot of scripts in our programs, I also have a disclaimer that says, please do not copy and paste this. Just use this as a guide and rewrite this in your own words. Okay. It's something that you do need to practice. And I promise like the awkwardness will go away. It'll probably end up being fun for you. So I want you to think about it like this too. Like if you were at the store and a friend ran into you, right? Would I just completely turn around and ignore her? No, I would actually have a conversation with her. So I want you to think about it just like that. That's what it should feel like for the other person when you are sending them a personal message. And that's what's going to make it so powerful. It's that genuine connection. It's building the trust. It's showing interest in what someone else might need. And I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that, because there's different ways to understand what people are going to need. So why are most people not doing this? Because there is like a gold mine of an opportunity that many of you are missing. I hear all the time, like, I need more leads. I'm not connected to any of the right people. And what's happening is that you just haven't activated them yet. You haven't essentially gotten them to raise their hand so that they give you really the okay to reach out to them. And so that's why for many, it might feel weird to actually send somebody a DM, because you're sending like a cold DM. Okay. And also the wording that you're using. So a few things. Number one, it feels awkward, right? It feels awkward because we may think that we are just being very salesy or invasive. But like I said, it's about switching your perspective. We want to change that. And you want to think of the DM conversation as a conversation that's genuinely meant to help someone solve their problem. It's a human connection. It's not a sales pitch. Okay. The second thing that you might be feeling is this feeling of entitlement and expectation that everyone should be seeing your social media posts. And I don't know if you knew this, but only about 1 to 3% of your audience at any given time actually sees your post when you post something. You hear me? 1 to 3%. So let's say you have, I don't know, 3,000 people. What's 1% of that? 3 people? Did I do that right? Or is it 30? You get the point. Okay. So rather than feeling like, I'm posting all the time and why aren't people seeing what I'm posting? What we want to do instead is we want to actually activate our audience with our content so that it actually works and it gets them to raise their virtual hand. And that way, when we do start connecting with them, it's not as awkward. And then the third thing that I see that's happening a lot, why people aren't actually utilizing DMs, is because they're not using social media as a place of socializing. They're using social media as a place to content dump or to like puke their promotions all over the place, right? And that's the thing, is like, they're going to ignore you. They're just going to keep scrolling through. So rather than just thinking about posting content all the time, remember, how can I share something valuable with my audience that's actually creating a connection with them that is going to want to get them to socialize with me one-on-one? Okay. So the next thing I want to share with you is why DMs are a revenue generating activity. So most of your day when you're on social media, you're spending your day either scrolling through, because it's definitely a rabbit hole at times. That's why I don't go on TikTok, because I get lost on TikTok. I don't know about you guys, but my kids send me TikTok links all the time to watch videos. And I click on that one. And next thing I know, like 45 minutes has gone by and I'm still on TikTok. So I don't spend my time over there. Okay. I'm super intentional about the time that I spend on social media. So although creating content, which for many, maybe you're spending like an hour or 10 minutes or 15 minutes creating one piece of content, which is a long time to create one piece of content, especially if it's like a written post. If that's happening, that is not a revenue generating activity. Content is really important because it is like creating that trust factor, but it's not what's actually going to generate your income. So think about how you're blocking out your time. Okay. Spend more time on revenue generating activities like DMs versus creating content. Okay. So the real magic happens when you take that content, which I'm going to show you how to create content like this, and it activates your audience to start to create conversation with someone directly in the DMs. Okay. So that's when you turn a like, when somebody reacts to your posts, or a comment, or maybe a new follow, and you move them into becoming a warm lead and eventually a paying client. And that's how you use your content. Okay. Now, when you block time in your calendar and you focus on even 15 minutes a day of DMs versus hours of scrolling on social media, now you're engaging in revenue generating activities that are going to help move the needle for you. And you also want to make sure that you're tracking all of these conversations, which we're not going to talk about today, but that's really important. You need to know, like, who did I talk to yesterday? When should I follow up? What was the first message that I sent them? And so on and so forth. Now, I used to do this manually inside of a Google Sheet. We have been now for quite a few years been using a third-party tool. It's a CRM that we use directly on Facebook. You can also use it on Instagram. Soon it's going to come to LinkedIn, and that's called Group Track, and it's amazing. And I think there's a 7-day trial too. Let's jump into the actual, how does this work? Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to activate your audience, right? Your followers, and we're going to move them into a lead. Okay. That's the first thing we want to do. When we do that, we're building relationships. Okay. When we move them into a lead, you now have an opportunity to actually talk to them, but you're going to be talking to them through DMs. Inside of DMs, you're building the relationship with them. In addition to that, you're identifying what are the things that they're struggling with as they relate to the solution that you provide. And then once you know about these things, now you have an opportunity to offer them to come closer into your world, whether that's a free resource, whether that's a training, maybe it's a strategy call, a discovery call, maybe it's a low ticket offer. Again, it's going to depend on how that conversation has been going. So when you do this, this is what this approach has the power to do. It converts your followers into clients much faster. much faster than waiting on people to see a post. Remember, only 1 to 3% of your audience actually sees a post, an organic post at any given time. Okay. So it's going to convert your followers much faster into clients. It's going to generate more calls on your calendar or get more traffic to your website, depending on your business methodology. And it's going to create long-term relationships. Okay. So how do we do this? Okay. I'm going to give you a few different scenarios, examples, because there are 5 different scenarios of how you work people in your DMs. Now, the first one is a new connection. So how many of you get a friend request? And I don't know about you, but I do a little bit of snooping before I actually accept any friend requests, right? You do that whole process. Make sure that there's somebody that you align with, somebody that's not like trying to scam you. It's not a bot. It's not some sort of weirdo trying to ask you out on a date, right? Before you actually accept a request. And when you accept their request, send them a personal message. Don't wait for them to send you a personal message, because guess what? They're most likely going to send you a personal message, and their strategy is not going to be this. Their strategy is going to be that creepy strategy where they're trying to like offer you, a hair product or a weight loss product, or maybe, how to make $90,000 in 90 days or something like that. I get these all of the time. And then quickly I spin that conversation around, but I'm not going to go into that. But what you want to do is immediately when you accept a friend request or somebody follows you right away, introduce yourself, acknowledge the connection, say, oh my gosh, thanks so much for being in my Facebook space or being in Facebook lands with me. Just wanted to jump in and say hello. What's the point of social if we're not going to be social? Have an amazing day. That's it. Nothing else. Now, why do you do that? You do that because, again, you're letting them know that you acknowledge them and you're starting to build a rapport. In addition to that, and this will happen with any scenario that you do this, when you send DMs, that person is more likely to actually see your content next time you post. Okay. So that's one scenario. I love doing that scenario. Same scenario if you friend request someone and they accept it right away, make sure that you send them a message. Okay. Don't be the weirdo. Send them just a friendly message. Hey, nice connecting, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now they may come back and say something to you like, yeah, oh my gosh, thanks so much for accepting my request. And now they may try to pitch you something. That's where you can go into, you know what? No, thank you. But actually, I do this all the time because of the work that I do. But when people do that to me, I spin it around and I'll say something like, thanks for giving me info and thank you for sharing the opportunity, but I'm really not interested, not at this point. And, something that I do help people with is how to identify what others' challenges or goals are through DMs so that it gets them closer to a yes when you send out messages like that. Do you want some support with that? And sometimes they're like, thank you so much for the feedback, right? So find a way to spin it so it's not going to make them feel stupid for pitching you right away. But I like to make it a point, like, just be human, okay? Get to know me first before you start pitching me a hair product because you think my hair is falling out or something. Have you even looked at my hair? Okay. Second scenario is re-engaging with people. So let's say that you have been in a conversation with someone in the past, but it's been a while since either you have interacted with them through DMs or with their posts or vice versa, right? The connection has been super quiet. So bring that conversation back. Okay. What I would do first is I would go to their personal profile. I would check to see like what they've been up to lately. And then I would send them a message and say, hey, it's been a while since we've connected and I noticed that blank happened. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but I have been helping people with blank. So again, this is not cold because you already know this person. Okay. But you could say something like, lately, I've been helping a lot of people with blank and I have this thing coming up. I was wondering if you know anybody that could benefit from it. Now, I do that for like my free resources, for like a free week workshop. I will not do that for something paid, right? Or I may do that if I have extra spots on my calendar that I'm trying to fill. And I'll say something like, hey, so I've opened up my calendar. I have extra spots on my calendar. And maybe there's somebody in your audience, people that you're connected to that you think would benefit from this. Let me know if you think so. And I'm happy to send over the link or something, right? So that's one approach. Another approach is I have been helping people with blank. So include like your value statement, right? And I'm curious what's been going on in your world now. I'd love to catch up. That's it. Or I'd love to know what's going on in your world. Let me know if there's something that I can support you with online, and I'm happy to share it. I do that quite often as well when I'm trying to reconnect with someone, where I'm not asking them anything from them other than how can I support you? Is there something that you have going on that I can support you with? Okay. Now, let's say that it's somebody that you have talked about business to and they never got back to you. Maybe specifically somebody inside of your group, if you have a group, or just, from your personal profile. Okay. You could say, hey, I'm just reaching out. It's been a while. I remember last time we spoke, you were struggling with blank. Is that still something that you need help on? By the way, I'm getting ready to do blank that I think might help you with that. Okay. So again, coming from a servant's heart rather than, hey, it's been a while that we've talked. I have this coming up. Do you want the link to register? Right? You see like the tweak in wording. The third scenario is one of my favorites. And this one is actually the one that completely skyrocket your business if you get in a cadence of doing this like once a week. Okay. And this is what I call an activation DM. And you may hear this as like hand raising posts, ladder posts. I call them activation posts. So this is where you say something like, hey, if I were to do a training about blank, would you be interested? Who wants in? Okay. So kind of like what I do inside of this group on Mondays or Tuesdays, I will share a little one-liner of the training that I'm going to do on Thursdays, right? And many of you say, yes, I want in. So all of you that say, yes, I want in, guess what happens? We comment back. Many times we'll send you a personal message. Inside of the group, it's a little different because we're just going to tag you and remind you. But let's say you're doing this on your personal profile. What you want to do is you're going to respond to their comment. When they comment, yes, I want in, I want access or whatever it is, you're going to say, great, I'm going to send you a personal message with the details or with more access or with how to access. And then you then send them a personal message right after and you say, hey, thank you so much for your comment on my post about my training about blank. So give them a reminder because people comment on stuff all the time and they may forget like what you're talking about. And then say, so it's going to happen on such date. Here's the links to register. And by the way, I was curious, like what sparked your interest in this? Is there something specific with blank? Give a topic that you're struggling with. I'd love to make sure that I touch on it in my training. Or, if you're actually delivering something that's like a PDF or a resource or something like that, then you would change that a little bit, but just say, hey, so I talk about some of these things inside of this resource. Is there anything in particular that you're struggling with, right? An open-ended question. That way it gives them an opportunity to respond back to you and you can start to build that rapport so much faster than sending them a random DM and hoping that they actually respond back to you. Okay. These activation DMs from activation posts are an absolute gold mine for engaging with your now, and I call them now buyers inside of your audience. These are people who have already shown interest because they said, yes, I want more info, or yes, I want in, or yes, I want access to that, right? From that post. And if they're saying yes, they're already giving you the okay for you to actually reach out to them. Okay. Next scenario is inviting somebody to a training that you're going to be doing. So let's say you've been in conversation back and forth already with a warm lead. This is not going to be somebody cold. This is going to be someone warm. Remember, we do not want to be that creepy person. We want to be a human. We want to be real. We want to be genuine. Okay. So let's say that you've identified people that they keep engaging with your content, showing interest, but maybe they haven't actually commented on your stuff. That's one thing. Or maybe you have been engaging with them through comments and through DMs, right? Those are going to be warm leads and you have something coming up soon. So what you could say is something like, hey, thanks so much for following along lately, or hey, thanks so much for being a part of my community. I always love to thank people because I truly do thank you for being inside of here. So I don't know if you saw this inside of the group, or I don't know if you saw this post, but I wanted to make sure that you didn't miss out on this. I'm hosting our free workshop again in just a few weeks, where I'm going to show you how to blank, right? So you want to include what is that result? So for you, I'm going to show you how to be the in-demand, irresistible solution online without overwhelm and trendy tech that actually gets your now buyers to raise their hand that they want to talk to you. Okay. So that's something similar that I would say in that message. Does that sound like something that you would benefit from learning? Right? That's it. You don't say, so here's the link to sign up. No, you want them to respond. Okay. I am not going to send the link to people that do not respond to me. All right. Let me know if you want in. That's it. Make sense? Now, if it's someone that's cold, meaning they never have necessarily engaged with you, but you are connected to them somehow. Okay. I'm not talking about a random person in another group that you're not even like friends with. I'm talking about maybe someone that is on your followers list. It's on your friends list, and you have this upcoming event or something going on. What would make sense is you could send them a message and say, hey, I noticed that we've been connected here for a while. We've never actually connected, but I wanted to let you know, in case you don't know, I help people to blank so that they can blank. And I have this upcoming free event or workshop that I'm hosting. And I really just wanted to share that with you in case either you or you know somebody that could benefit from learning this. Have a great day. Thanks for being here. That's it. I feel like that is an appropriate message, right? Again, it's all in the wording. I know sometimes we want to go straight to it, right? Hey, this is what I have going on. I saw that we have mutual friends. Don't even use that mutual friend thing. That's no, that's old. Okay. But if you work on your wording and you make it just sound like you, as if you literally bumped into someone in the store. Remember when I gave that analogy earlier? Hey, oh my gosh, by the way, I'm doing this thing and maybe it's something you'd like to learn. And that's it. And if, when you approach people that way, what happens is they're like, you know what? No, thank you so much. I'm not interested. Not a big deal. And then you just respond, okay, all good. Enjoy the rest of your day. And then you leave it alone. But there are people that hound you, right? And we don't want to be those people. Okay. The last scenario is the offer DM. Now, this is when the time is right. Okay. There are things that have to happen before you get to this point, at least in my experience and the way that I believe. Okay. In order for it to feel super natural and super aligned for both you and the other person, you want to already be in the DMs with them and already talking to them, having conversations with them. Okay. That's why this really needs to be built on previous interactions. So all of those previous scenarios I gave you are great previous interactions where you can start to understand what their interest is, what their pain points are, right? You're really trying to identify what are their needs? What are the things that they are looking to solve right now that you can possibly help them with? And that's when you get to the point of actually making an offer to them. And it could look like something like, hey, thank you so much for being on my training about blank. Is this something that you need help to actually implement yourself? That's what we help people with. Do you want to know more of how we do that? Now, do you notice how I left it open-ended? I didn't say, hey, that's what we help people with, and here's how you can sign up for me to help you do that. And then you leave the link. No. Okay. Makes sense? So open-ended questions. Okay. So here are your next steps to actually implement this. The first thing I want you to do is using these scenarios, I want you to write out your own verbiage, your own messages, your own message for the first time you reach out to somebody that just requested to follow you or to friend you, or maybe you friended them and they accepted. Your own message for reigniting a conversation, your own message for when you're DMing someone from an activation post, your own message when you're inviting a warm lead to a training, and your own message for your offers without actually giving the offer, right? You're giving them the opportunity to know more about the offer. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, start engaging with your audience. Okay. But at least do 15 minutes a day of engaging with other people that you are connected to. And what I mean by engaging is go to their personal profiles, comment on their most recent posts, send them a quick little message hey, I saw whatever happened. That's so awesome. Have an awesome day. Right? That's what I mean by engaging. Okay. Make a list of people that are engaging with you. Make a list of your warm leads. Start inviting them to your free resources, to your free trainings, and move them into that conversation to get them to that next step where you can actually offer them something to get them to become a customer or client. All right. So I hope this was helpful today, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.